So to me, this is how I think of it. Magic is simply a gap of information. You don't know how the magician went from point A to point B, right? But the mind never likes to not know. So it always comes up with a quick assumption, right? Takes a guess and just sort of builds a bridge. But that bridge is never based on facts or reality because you don't have the facts when you're on stage with your eyes closed, obviously, right? So what is it based on? What is it? Perfect. Past experiences, exactly. Past experiences, available information, tendencies, cognitive biases you have, patterns, right? Perception. And, psychologists and behavioral science experts have identified hundreds of these mental deceptions. And what's interesting is that these patterns that we all have that are very difficult to escape, these patterns that we have is what allows for a magician to perform a trick or for a marketer to make you click. It's the exact same thing. And in fact, you might recognize some of these. For example, confirmation bias, loss aversion bias, status quo bias, or my favorite one, blind spot bias. See, blind spot bias is a tendency we all have to see how bias affects other people's decision making, but we don't see how that affects us. We don't see how bias affects our own judgment. We all have that. And not only do we get thrown off by these biases, not only does it sway our perception, but it triggers emotion. It triggers emotion, it triggers action. And if you look carefully, most of these biases, and certainly on this list, and certainly the ones I put up here, are all working in tandem. They actually are very related, because loss aversion, confirmation bias, status quo bias, it's all working in tandem to keep you where you are. You are designed to stay where you are, not to think too much outside the box, right? In fact, I think of human perception very similar to a tropical tree. A tropical tree is designed to stay rooted in the ground, just like our perceptions. It would require a massive hurricane to unroot one of these trees, just like it would require a massive amount of energy to change somebody's perception of reality, their belief systems, or even the most unproductive misconceptions they might have. And we all have them. You and I are no different. Now here's the thing though. When you're communicating with somebody, if you're not keeping that in mind, and you're just going on autopilot, it's like shooting a shotgun in the air and hoping that something hits. And 90% of the time, that's what I see people doing when they're doing any type of communication, whether it's sales, marketing, collaborating, networking, negotiating, whatever it might be.